2, 1. What is up, YouTube? HPJ, and I have some exciting news for you guys. So, the OCG had a major event happening today, which, for those who don't know, it is February the 4th of 2024. And the Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, Konami themselves announced that two particular Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games will be coming to Steam and Switch sometime later on this year. There's no particular date for this, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Um, Duel Masters Expert 6 2 will be going to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Will be on Steam and on Switch, as well as the Game Boy Color game Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters for Battle of the Great Duelist. Now, if you guys don't know particularly what these two video games are, don't worry, I have their stuff right here. So first off is this one. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters 4 Battle of the Great Duelist. So this is the game that proceeds after Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories. There are 3 versions of this game. Yeah, I didn't know that, and I'm reading it right now. So there are 4 versions of this game: one for Yu-Gi-Oh, one for Yugi, one for Kaiba, and one for Joey to respect their respective decks. This game was released in December 7th of 2000, and these 3 separate versions are basically um, sequel games that came after Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel Stories. They have a campaign, they have secret codes, they even have playable cards within themselves, but basically, for each version, you would attain an Egyptian god, and it was actually given to you for pre-order if you pre-ordered the game. So if you had the Cipher version if you had the Yugi version of the game, you obtained Sky Dragon. If you had the Kaiba version, you were given Obelisk Tormentor, and if you had the Joey version, you were given the Winged Dragon of Ra. Now, each of these respective Egyptian gods were given to you respective duelists to reflect the Battle City arc at that time, which I think was still going on under development at that time because we hadn't gotten into the Battle City arc till probably 2004, 2005, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Was still going, because the American dub was just finishing up, and I think they were just getting to the final ends of the. They were getting ready to start Dome arc at that point. So, oh yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. But yeah, this is basically all the stuff that involves the OCG Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. It has a lot of the old school Yu-Gi-Oh rules that were going to be implemented before they did the changes with Upper Deck and Konami situation. So like there was a roulette of types, the attributes rather. And each of those attributes checked each other. Like fire beat forest, forest beat wind, wind beat earth, earth beat thunder, thunder beat water, water beat forest. And then dark beat shadow beat light, light beat fiend, fiend beat dream, dream beat shadow. Which is something that akin to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sacred Cards, Yu-Gi-Oh! Frostbound Kingdom, Yu-Gi-Oh! Wrath of Destruction, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Um, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Forbidden Memory. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories. So all of those were attached to uh, those particular games because those were their ways to cross-check things. Now, in particular to that situation, yeah, there's a lot more information that I won't be reading off because it'll probably make this video about what 12 minutes, no, 20 or plus minutes long. So I'm not gonna go give you guys that much of a riff. But yeah, if you guys do want to see the information, I will 100% leave a link to everything in the comment section below so you guys can take a look at that. Now, with that said and done, we're gonna move on to the next game, which some of you may actually know of this. So Yu-Gi-Oh! Worldwide Edition, Stairway to the Destined Duels, in the Japanese version is called Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Masters Expert 2, and also known as Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Masters International Worldwide Edition. So this is a game that precedes Yu-Gi-Oh! The Eternal Duelist Soul. Now, this game had a lot of changes from its predecessor. as it has a map function. The characters in the events are on the map section when you select certain things. This game has over 1,000 new cards. Has 1,000 cards in it. There were about 21 cards removed due to functionalities of cards in the game. And I believe this was very much rushed, which is crazy because none of the other ones at that point were rushed. Because I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Um, Eternal Duelist Soul came to us. Because here's the thing about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Video games and the GBA, and I know a lot of people can agree with me on this because there has been some research done. There are cards in there are a particular amount of cards that were cut from those particular games because at the time they were trying to rush them for an international release. So if you're ever wondering why certain particular cards were in one game but they're not in the other, and in the game after they're there, that is simply because of the fact that Konami OCG rushed these games because they were trying to meet the deadlines um for what was it for Nintendo. And because of how their, I guess it was a contract and everything that was going on, Nintendo wanted their games as soon as possible because they were trying to meet them for that year. Like, oh, here's these Yu-Gi-Oh games here for this system, these Yu-Gi-Oh games for that system. So that's kind of why a lot of this happened. A lot of the cards that you probably think were that you probably seen in one game were not in the next game. But they're in the next game, they're not going to be in the next game after. And they tried to fix a lot of that for a lot of the games themselves, but unfortunately, just because of how card mechanics were, some words had to be translated, and other things had to be couldn't be translated because there were issues with that translation. There are a lot of cards that just unfortunately had to be cut. There is a section on here that states what amount the 20 I think it was 25 cards that were cut from Yu-Gi-Oh! Worldwide Edition that were not in that were in Yu-Gi-Oh! Eternal Duelist Soul, but then they were cut. And some cards were cut from that game too. I believe Worldwide Edition stops right before I want to say Legacy of Darkness because some of the cards from Legacy of Dark, some of the cards that were set to be released in Yu-Gi-Oh! During was it 2004 are not in Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2004. So you actually get to see a lot of those cards come in Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2005, but then they cut some of the cards from there that did appear in Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2006, but some of those cards were cut. Yeah, you get my drift. Cards are being cut left and right just to make it for time or space or even the functionality of the game system. So yeah, there were a lot of things changed, but there are a lot of things added. If you guys would like to have a look at that, I'll definitely leave a link to those in the description box below. So now, why am I mentioning all of this? Well, simply because a lot of you guild players loved playing the games for the Game Boy Advance Game Boy Color. That's how a lot of us got to, test out decks and stuff. We battled these iconic Yu-Gi-Oh opponents from the Yu-Gi-Oh series with their variation of decks and builds using cards from that time. While some were better than others, but it was a great way to play the card game without having to spend so much money on the physical cards, or at least train yourself up to play them if you didn't have access to playing, actual people who know how to play the card game. Especially because during the late 90s, early 2000s, up until the release of the Kaiba and Yugi structure deck, there was literally no legitimate understanding of how to play the game internationally. You really just went off of what was on the show. So you actually played the video games that actually used the official card game in the official card game play. Because doing some history, here's some history lessons for you. Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship, Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories, the PlayStation game, was supposed to be how they wanted the game to be, which was based off of the games for the Game Boy Color. But because of the transition from Bandai to Upper Deck and Konami, when they were joined at the time, focusing on they did a major overhaul of the rules, the gameplay, and the mechanics, which is why we have a lot of different cards than what the Bandai version is. If you guys ever seen the Bandai cards, go look at them. They are awesome in detail and artwork. And if you've ever seen Yu-Gi-Oh! Series Zero, there were portions of it in which you did see the actual card game being played, how they intended it at first. Sorry, that was my Siri, my values. But yeah, there's a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh traditional card game that was changed between the release of the official card game in the OCG and what it was released in international. So thankfully for Yu-Gi-Oh, the OG Yu-Gi-Oh that we know had its change. Thank God it had it. But then still kept a lot of those gimmicks and stuff for the video games that came out around it. So you got the best of both worlds. Um, my opinion on both of these games is that I've never played the Battle of the Greatest of the Great Duelists because I didn't have a Game Boy Color and didn't live in Japan. So actually, I didn't. This is the first time with me ever hearing of it. But I actually have a digital copy of Yu-Gi-Oh World Championship 2000, Yu-Gi-Oh Worldwide Edition because emulators. And it's a really cool game. It basically just plays like an advanced version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Eternal Duelist. So, and get used to that because that's the first. That'll be the last. These are going to be the last time you'll hear the different characters, like the different tiers have different music, as well as some of the characters having their own particular themes. Because Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2004 changed all of that, which I believe in Japan it's called Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Masters Expert Edition 7. Um, and there is no part two of that. It's usually just called Yu-Gi-Oh! Uh, World Championship Expert Edition 7. And yeah, a lot of the cards and stuff are definitely changed between the game version. So definitely go check these out if you ever get the chance, and definitely get a chance to play them because they are awesome games. I will leave links to them in the description box if you want to check out the wikis for them as well as all the cards. Funny enough, if you ever played Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship, Yu-Gi-Oh! Worldwide Edition, that was your first introduction to Sinister Serpent and Harpie Feather Duster in the TCG. Because if you got in America, yeah, the NA version had Harpy Feather Duster and Sinister Serpent, and I believe at that time they both were at one. The European versions, I think got something different. Actually, we can check out the promotional cards right now. Hold on, where the promotional cards? Promotional cards, international. Those are what they look like all over. That was the international edition. This are the editions for North America, European English, French, German, Dutch, Italian, Spanish, and then if we click the link here, okay, so for the international edition, we got one effect monster, two spells, three prismatic secret rares. For the European edition, they got one spell, one trap, and one effect monster. So for our game here in North America, we got Valkyrion the Magnet Warrior, Sinister Serpent, and Harpie's Feather Duster. For the European English version, they got Ciaru, Acid Trap Hole, and Salamandra, which I believe we got in a different game for the NA release. The French Italian versions also got the same thing. Yeah, but yeah, Valkyrion the Magna Warrior, his pieces Gamma, Alpha, and Beta, I think we're part of Duelists of the Roses. So if you wanted a set of the Magnet Warriors, you had to go buy Duelists of the Roses, and you had to get like 3 copies of them. I think they weren't reprinted until later on. I think in like not Peruvian Path. I want to say Dark Revelations. If not, they're probably printed a little later on for reprint. So yeah, any of you Yugi Moto fans that were trying to build the Yugi version of Yugi's deck at that point in time with easier accessible monsters. Yeah, yeah. Good luck with that. Sinister Serpent and Harpie's Feather Duster are two iconic Yu-Gi-Oh cards in the time. Sinister Serpent was a great card to discard for cards that were needed to be discarded through effects. For effects, a great way to pay the cost. And during the standby phase of your turn, it would always come back to your hand. Harpie's Feather Duster destroy also and try cards on the field. It was a way better Heavy Storm, which is funny because it took it almost 15 years after it being banned for it to be re-released, for it to be unbanned in Japan. For us in America, it was 17 years because we didn't get it back off the list till 2020. Japan had it 5 years earlier in 2015. So, yeah, there is your history lesson for that. Shigaru is an effect monster. No, it's a normal monster. There's an archetype called the Starry Knights that is actually based off of Shigaru. It has the ability to search for um, light attribute level 7 dragon monsters and support them in attack and protecting them from selling traps, destroying cards on the field, and being able to special summon it. Acid Trap Hole is part of the Trap Hole Trap Trick series, where it destroys a monster that is on the field face down that has 2,000 or less. Then Salamandra is an Eclipse spell that is, of course, equipped to only a fire type monster. Increases attack by 700 points. That was actually a card. If you're familiar with Salamandra, yeah, that's a Joey Wheeler card, which I believe he traded for during Duelist Kingdom, and was basically one of the major equipped cards that he used for his Flame Swordsman. Funny enough, at the time of this recording, Maze of Millennia came out, and there's a whole bunch of Flame Swordsman support cards. Salamandra got a fusion monster based off of it, and a quid spell, and a not union monster variant of itself as well. So yeah, there's all your big things right there. So I will leave links to all of this in the description box below, so you guys can check all of these out on your own time. So I'm sure many of you will. And I'm going to wrap up the video here. So if you guys want any information about the Yu-Gi-Oh video games, do leave that in the comment section below. What would you guys like? Would you guys? Of course, everyone's going to say they want to see this come to the NA. They want to see this coming internationally. That'd be awesome to play the Yu-Gi-Oh video games on the Switch with all the things that we definitely can get from it. And if you support it ROM, that's fine. Just don't make it hella expensive because then no one's gonna buy it, or people will buy it just to buy it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel as it helps me out tremendously. You can hit the notification bell to be informed of when I upload more content to the channel, and my social media links are in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. HPJ signing out. Take care.